Hello everyone, thanks for coming, filling the room. It's great to see you all. So today we're going to talk about Superfans, and I just wanted to kick off the panel with two interesting stats that come from Luminate reports. The first one is 15%. This is the amount of audiences in the US that is considered as superfans. So we're not talking about small numbers. This is 15% of the overall US population that is more than 13 years old. So it's big numbers. And another very important stat from that report is that Superfan is spending 80% more than the average US listeners. So I think it was an interesting way to just kick off the panel. And I will just let Spotify introduce their definition of the superfan, and maybe if you want to say also a few words about Wrapped, which is coming in just a few days.
Hi everyone. Yes, sure. So basically, of course, superfans are like the fans that listen the most into our platform and are the ones that engage the most with the artists. They buy more tickets than the others on average. They buy more merch. But we even created like a category that is available for the artists in Spotify for Artists. That is our internal tool for artists to access data about the consumption of their music. And the category specifically there of the super listeners basically says us that they weight 2% of the total number of listeners of each artist on average, independently of the size of the artist. But the reality is that they stream much more than all the others. So when we look at the total streams, they weight 18% of the total streams. Other very important things when we think about them is that potentially they are already there between like among the listeners of an artist. But when the artist release new music, we see a spike in terms of super listeners, 20% spike. So that means that every time an artist has new releases, there is a new way, a new chance to engage more with the super listeners. And another interesting thing that is like a very interesting one for each artist, but even for like a marketer like me, is the fact that those users retain more than the others, of course. So they tend to stick to the platform. And 2/3 of them, after 6 months, are still like listeners of the same artist. And then the very last data that I have is that on platform, they tend to buy half of the total merch that we sell. So actually, like, they are quite heavy, even if they are just 2% of the listeners of each artist.
Thank you very much. I think it's just showing the importance of having insight and a deeper look into all of this. Maybe we go, before we go deeper into the panel, we'll do a quick introductions. We will dive deeper in a bit about how do you each engage with the superfans. But yeah, just a quick round of introductions. I will start myself. But I have started by artist management. I have developed artist career from the very scratch to millions of monthly listeners and multiple certifications. And now I run ad automation and fan data platforms. So we basically simplify fan data acquisitions and fan data knowledge. So that's what we do in few words. I'll let you the mic.
Yeah, I'm Jordan. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'm head of product for Songkick, formerly at Dice and Spotify, actually, also. And yeah, we kind of, at Songkick, we bring the live music element into it. We have millions of fans who are coming onto the platform to look for shows around the world and also in their neighborhood, in their areas. And our mission is to bring the magic of live music to as many of those fans as we possibly can around the globe. So that's on the fan side, we make those connections a lot, and on the artist side, we make it really easy through a product called Tourbox for artists and their teams to learn more about the fans that are coming onto the platform, and then talk to them through marketing campaigns. We have a tool that can do that pretty easily. So yeah, really looking forward to getting into the conversation about this.
I'm Esther. I lead consumer marketing for Spotify in Europe. I've been with Spotify for the past 5 years. I'm a marketer, so I would say that, of course, in terms of music experts, my colleagues on the stage are much more expert. I bring more the marketing view on this front, but of course, the marketing view is very interesting because the fans are our targets in this case. So we're getting to know them better and better every year, and they are the ones we build the value for. So, and we hope that that value comes back to the creators and the artists for sure, of course. That's it.
Thank you. I'm Eleonora Bianchi, and I'm Director of Digital Services and Consumption for Universal Music Italy. So I coordinate our digital activation, and specifically in this case, I would like to say we actually create superfans somehow. So we are very focused in the journey from getting to know an artist to create superfans, because nowadays all our efforts are into developing the engagement with music and our artists. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think maybe the first questions I had was, how are the superfans becoming key to your overall company strategy? And also, when have you seen that switch? Was it, over the recent years, or if you have any, I don't know, timeline about why and how did it change?
I think I can start it off, but let's say that in the music industry, how the music industry works right now, so it's very based on streaming more than on physical side, are still key part, but let's say that nowadays most of our strategy are digital oriented. And the point is in a world like ours, where there is a strong word for attention from any media, and nowadays also the consumption is not more, I would say, linked to buying a single CD or buying an album. Entering in shop, buying an album doesn't make you a real fan or super fan. So when we see Spotify data, for example, we really get in touch with the reality. So how many times we need one of our artists to be listened, to be streamed, to be actually successful on the platform. So the best way in which we can ensure success for our artists is actually to have superfan and create this kind of people that can spend a lot of time listening to music and engaging in many different ways. So I would say that the obsession with superfans started with the streaming era. So more or less, of course, it has always been crucial to the business, but very linked to our economy since that moment. So once we really need a lot of time and engagement of fans to create hits and make the artist successful. It's not just about editors on the radio, so it's a very active consumption. So we really need people to be engaged.
Yeah, on my side, agree completely. Superfans were always there, and it was always an important part of the Songkick business. And Songkick has been around since 2007. So we have had a lot of superfans come to us and say we want to buy tickets to artists, and so we've been trying to talk to them for a long time. I think there's been a increased attention on them as people have started to, as you're saying, connect that to the rest of what's going on in the artist's career. So superfans are showing up, wanting to know that where they're playing. That's interesting for streaming purposes and for buying merch purposes. And how can we start to put those pieces together in an interesting way? And so, yeah, at Songkick, we're starting with the live portion of that, and then trying to connect it to the rest of the components around artist development.
And I think things have changed a lot over the recent years, having worked also on my side on, developing product and project. And I'm curious to know how the journey of Superfan and all the data that now you have access to, we've mentioned what is available on Spotify and everything. How is that changing your strategy on a day-to-day basis, and how much room do you keep to change this on a regular basis?
So I would say there's been a basically a strategic change in the way we actually work with artists, because back in the days we used to have also our release strategy was, there were a lot of gaps between a release, between another release, then maybe an artist was completely out of social media or classic media for a while, being completely off. And nowadays we are more focused on always on strategies that it could be declined in different ways. So, for example, I think we can say it in 4 main pillars. So, music is always the main one, but for example, before an album release, now we have usually more singles. So we really want to heat up the artist discography and the catalog in order to actually engage fans before the release, to make them ready, but also after the release we do many remixes, and there are a lot of collaboration with an artist or another. And then, of course, there are other formats in which we can work on this always-on strategy. We work on additional content, for example. So every time you see, a film or a series about an artist, of course, the more iconic they are, the easiest it is, because, of course, you already have a fan base. But you can also work on behind-the-stage content, for example, for more emerging artists. Or other things we can do is, of course, working on merch. Merch is a key part of this. So every merch drop is a way also to engage fan again. Also, if you don't have an album out or a new tour to be announced, for example, right now we have just released this. It's still a pre-order thing, but we are working on Vasco Rossi, that is an Italian icon, so very popular artist over here. He is not releasing new music. He has already announced the summer tour, but for this Christmas we released this special jumper that is a Christmas jumper that's very far from what you would expect from Vasco Rossi, but we had a really good response from fans, and they're usually super happy. And back in the days we also released a collectible figure. It was perfect for the presepe, as we call it. So that was crazy, and we did many different activities like this to have the fan base. In this case, we have a very big and strong and engaged fan base, but you need to have elements to keep them up. And of course, also live events could be a leverage in this, engagement, but not always the typical live you would expect. Also, experience tailored on fans. We tested this crazy thing last January when we announced the comeback of Club Dogo, that are an Italian popular rap band, and actually we picked one of their Superfans, the biggest one maybe, collecting all their music and collecting all the tickets of the concert have been to, and basically we released some content with him, just listening to the new album, and was completely surprising by the fact that there was new music coming up. And it was like a reward to a top fan, and it was a way to reward the full fan base somehow and create more and more engagement about the new release. So many things are changing, but there are always new ways of doing this. And of course, data are key in this, of course.
And would you say the main goal of this example you've provided, is it to increase the potential revenues, or is it to drive more stories, to build a strategy? What is your first goal?
Honestly, nowadays to drive revenues, you need to pass by, engaging fans. So, of course, the first step, so the closest one in the short term, you need to engage fans, but of course, in the long term, is to create more value for everyone. So, yes, it's also a way of creating revenue for sure, but firstly, we need to have engaged fans to actually get there. So.
Yeah, and I think right now in a very crowded world where there is more and more volume, it's also very important to create those moments or those experiences, because it's, makes something unique that the audiences connect with, and that's, I feel, how you can really, stand out and create unique moments. You've mentioned the live part of the site, which is obviously something very important to create those moments. I was surprised when I heard the news that Songkick was acquired by Warner, because it seemed totally out of the core business. So I'm curious, how is it integrating within the overall Warner strategy, and how it changed the way that team now work around live and Superfans?
For sure, yeah. And Songkick was actually acquired a while ago, 2017. So a lot of people are surprised by that, for sure. And yeah, it's like I was saying before, it's interesting to see how the live fans and how the live strategy come together around the streaming and content, for sure, and to look and see how that kind of can all come together. We operate Songkick as an independent business, and always have. So any artist can use Songkick products. However, certainly working pretty closely with the label teams across all the world at Warner to inform what they're doing on the campaigns, inform different pieces of it, again, whether it's trying to engage superfans or streaming things in a different way. And an example of that is Liam Gallagher, before the big Oasis news this year. He put out an album with John Squire. I'll use a UK example because I'm based in London. But the label team that was working on that came to us and said, hey, can we reach out to the Songkick audience? Can we work with your tools to help promote this album that's coming out, and also maybe get some pre-sale access, or maybe do some merch around that? And so, we collaborated with them on that, and had some really good results there. So yeah, it's doing both. It's running it as an independent business and doing the things that Songkick has always been really good at, but then also figuring out the best ways to inform the Warner strategy as we do that.
So it's a lot about like using the data that you could have on the live side and take this to improve the data from the master.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
And on your side, within the Spotify ecosystem, how do you engage with the superfans? I'm more thinking about like you internally and maybe tools or opportunities you have for your partners.
Yeah, I would say that whatever we do, like our job is really creating more value for them, so for the users and for the superfans specifically. And of course, because we believe that values then goes back to the artist as well. So when we try to engage them, of course, we want them to spend more time on the platform, because ultimately spending more time on the platform means more streams and then more revenues, etc., etc. So whenever we try to engage them more, we really try to think of how we can enrich their experience on platform. So sometimes it could be offering them a way to really deep dive into their passion. And I can mention an example, for Sanremo, that is like a cultural moment and phenomenon in Italy. When we build something for that, we really want to add value to the ecosystem. So whenever we do something, we always have the superfans in mind, and we really try to add value. So for example, we have the editorial hub, and we don't put only the playlist with the songs of the year, but we created an ecosystem with the history of Sanremo, the females of Sanremo, the most crazy songs coming out from Sanremo, and all the podcasts that are speaking about Sanremo. So we really give the opportunity to the users to deep dive into their passion. And then from a marketing standpoint, we try to make it a bit more entertaining as well. So for example, we create specific in-app experiences where we ask them questions and we use the data together with their answers to provide them. For example, this year was, what Sanremo song are you? And then, of course, giving them the opportunity to share and to share proudly their love for Sanremo or for the brand as well. So this is an example, but then we give even them more I would say, the opportunity to proudly share their love for artists. So one example, for example, we did for Taylor Swift, we created a special digital friendship bracelet. Of course, in Taylor's world, a friendship bracelet, especially if it's unique and digital, is something very precious. We called it Friendship Bracelet, and we gave it on platform only to, guess what, the top 13% listeners of of Taylor. And of course, they were incredibly proud to share this with their networks, because they were really bragging the fact that they were among the top fans of Taylor in that situation. And then we even try to find more innovative ways. So another example is, for example, the voting. So we just launched in Southeast Asia the opportunity to vote for their favorite artist or songs directly inside the playlist. So what we did in Asia is more related to TV shows. So giving the opportunity for the superfans to engage with their favorite artist and TV show, voting on platform directly. And that means, again, spending more time with us and streaming more content again. And then, of course, There are also the dedicated campaigns, so the music marketing campaigns that we do together for the artists. And in that case, they are more like dedicated to single artists and releases, and we always try to involve the fans more than the others, of course. But yeah, I would say those are the key elements.
It's interesting because, I mean, superfan is, you know, this buzzword. I feel like, you know, there was the NFT and everyone at some point. And in the end of the day, with like everything that you say, it's just people that are willing to invest more time in, you know, diving into the artists, getting to know the artists. And I'm curious to see if you have some metrics or if there is anything you track to know more about, like, how do you become from, you know, being like a passive listeners into a super fans, and maybe, you know, if there is any specific step, because it's not just, you know, I've discovered something in a playlist or algorithmically and then, you know, I become a super fan. So what will be the classical user journey? Is there, like, do you have internal tools or stuff that you use that you can track? And yeah, curious to know your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it, and I did some of this work actually when I was at Spotify too, in the fans first side. Think about it in terms of like what fans actually do, you know? Like, yes, they stream a lot, they stream often, and they spend a lot of time with their favorite artists. They buy tickets, they buy merch. And so that's like pretty, it feels baseline 101, but it's pretty like these are what fans do in the real world, you know? And so that's what they're doing on the platforms that we work with. You know, then once you get data and once you get, you know, really smart data engineers involved and stuff, you can start thinking about, can we predict other things? Can we do lookalike marketing audience, that kind of thing are interesting. But I at least start user journeys with just like, I'm a fan of, you know, of Vampire Weekend or whatever. So like, yeah, I go out and I see them. I buy their tickets. I buy their tickets in multiple cities. And those are the data points that we start with to try to build the fan platform. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, on our side, of course, it's always a matter of trying to actually find out more and more data about the users. That's not super easy, having all the platform in between us and the user. That's why the easiest way we actually have is collecting data from our D2C and e-commerce. Of course, in this way we can see a returning customer, for example, or customer that are very interested in a specific music genre or in a specific, you know, momentum of music, like Sanremo, for example, or deep dive vertically in a specific artist. But at the same time, we also work a lot with fan clubs. That's also a very nice tool that sounds a bit old, but it's old school, always working from this point of view. And the two things make, I mean, let's say the three things mixed together work pretty well, but we are always very active in trying to figure out also on platform how could actually targeting the real top tier of fans. So it's always a struggle for us, but something we really focus on.
When you talk about fan clubs, what are those fan clubs? How do they?
Oh, usually it could be, you know, it depends. I mean, it depends a lot of the artist. Could be, you know, Twitter page or X pages or Instagram page, more or less nowadays, or in very specific cases, Discord server, and in which also we try to work a bit on. But you know, for local artists, it's still even more difficult. So for local artists, we work a lot more with Instagram pages mainly. Yeah. But with international artists, we have very successful example of, you know, very well working teams also on Discord. But yeah, it's mainly Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna say Discord. Also, Fred again has like an amazing Discord, very engaged community. But you know, it depends on the artist also. Like his fan base particularly enjoys talking about stuff a lot and his sets a lot. Other artists may be different for sure, but yeah, we found success in Discord too.
So is it more about like trying to identify an already existing fan clubs, or can you also like implement and, you know, create your own fan club on Discord or other places? Like, what is the trends right now, and how do you engage with those fan clubs?
Yeah, I think it's both, but the most successful tool are, you know, fan base that when we try to create a relationship with a fan base that is already existing. I think, you know, being from our side as the music label, it always feels more authentic when it's the real fan club that is working on this, of course. But of course, they are happy to collaborate, but still, you know, we want everything to be, authentic and organic. So it's working better. Of course, when it comes to new platforms, sometimes you're pushing like the artist team to be more creative on something. I think that's okay. That's our job mainly, so that's fine. But when it comes to the output, it's all in the hands of the real fan base. That's the best results we can ensure.
Yeah, I have recently seen a lot of this fan account on TikTok growing and growing, and I had a discussion with a marketing agency that was actually saying that they now create and operate those fan clubs with original content mainly, and they have been doing successful stuff. But I feel like now it's very complicated to see, like, if it's like authentic fan club or if it's something made. I mean, it is working. I was recently stumbling upon Lola Young and Messi that just totally blew up again, and it feels that it was started from this like fan account TikTok. So it was very, very interesting cases. And so, like, in terms of platforms, you mentioned Discord, which is obviously one, but there is a lot of new company, new startup that are growing. There was also like a Patreon that tried to do some stuff more around those fan club. What have you seen of something interesting? Maybe to phrase it differently, I feel like as a music consumer, we already have Instagram and TikTok and others and so on. So of course, like Instagram is building their broadcast channels and everything. So have you seen anything that is not an app that we use on an everyday basis that is interesting? And also, have you seen any concrete successful story with broadcast channels or some other with the app we are already using? What is your thoughts on this? It's a big question, but
one, yeah. Tough one. Also, let's say the Italian audience is not, I think, one of the most reactive to very new thing. But let's say that when it comes to startup and new apps, we actually we are contacted, I wouldn't say, let's say on a weekly basis by different startups with ideas, and they want to test new thing, and some of them are based on Spotify API, I would say the most, because it's the easiest way, and also, I mean, the most relevant, I think, to the music business, but it's always hard to be 100% sure that data are used in the, correct way. So from a platform point of view, but also from a label point of view, before actually deciding to deal with a platform, we go very deep in the analysis to see if it's actually something that it's okay for everyone. And I guess usually the most of the new tools or startup coming up are more in the concept of rewarding top fans. That's nice somehow, or at least to list the top fans, to give the fan also the possibility to show off how much fans they are. That's not something that Spotify is playing a lot with, but actually it's hard to get something out of it. So really see, okay, I'm the first one, I'm the top listener for this specific product. It's something that it's probably not so clear from Spotify data, and also I don't think Spotify is so willing to share with such a detailed info. But most of the apps are about this right now, and until we don't have a proper, material reward, could be okay, maybe, but still could be somehow dangerous in the way we're actually using data. So it's always, complicated to actually find out to work with these kind of companies, but I guess in every one of them we see something interesting, something that can be used better, and it's also, for now, from a music label point of view, I think it's nice to be in contact with this kind of startups, because we exchange, of course, info. They get to know what is actually valuable for us, and we try to direction a bit the effort in the direction to be actually useful for everyone. So But when it comes to a proper, useful example, I mean, if I have to say something big and bold, honestly, I don't have anything in my mind right now. But I don't know, maybe with Songkick, I don't know.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like you were saying before, it totally depends on the artist always, Some artists may want to I just want to broadcast this to everybody and then like get as many people to stream or buy a ticket as possible. And then others may want to have more targeted or more fan-based engagement tools. Dua Lipa has a WhatsApp group, for example. That's cool. Like I can sign up for that and she can text me about her album. That's sweet, But then Fred against Discord again is for more, let's engage those people who are always talking and keep that community always on, like you were saying before. And also, I mean, imagine you're confused with platforms and everything on the consumer side. I mean, probably all of us in this room, there's so many different things to keep track of on the artist and music industry side too. So I'm also seeing, platforms that can bring that together in some way and have these platforms talk to each other. Those have been helpful and really interesting in the space also, because it's a similar problem, right? You feel overwhelmed with, I don't know where to follow my biggest fans. It's the same on the artist side, I think. There's so many different ways. What do we do first? What do we do second? So platforms that help with that have been helpful for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a big challenge. Like already we see it with the short content. It's like I don't know any artist that is, posting on Reels and TikToks and YouTube. You always need as a manager or social media manager just to handle that for them in some way. And it's very demanding. Just it's one part of the business, and then you need to create the songs and everything. And I think also a big question about the anything related to Superfan is like, who is the responsibility? Is it the artist? Is it the management? Is it the record label? Because everyone got like different incentive. But if you're investing in building, I don't know, a fan clubs or whatever Superfans platform, then maybe it is to sell tickets, but you don't have incentive to do so. So it's a big topic.
Yep.
And I think. To move on with what you say also in regards to the Italian audiences, we are in Europe, and I feel like a lot of what we were talking about related to Superfans is mainly coming from like US case study or K-pop a lot. So I'm just curious to see, like, when you discuss with your international colleagues, do you see like a big difference in how do you include Superfan in your strategy? And also, do you think that Europe can really be multi-countries of Superfans?
Yeah, I could start. And I'm an American based in the UK also. But yeah, on Songkick's side, we're seeing, like I said before, Superfans are everywhere and they've always been there. And I've definitely started seeing tours going to more varied markets. I mean, this is not Europe, obviously, but Dua Lipa's playing India, that kind of stuff. So we're definitely seeing some trends around that for sure. Probably too early to say if it's longer term ticket buying trends are changing, especially post coming out of COVID. But yeah, at least on my side, I'm definitely starting to see that people are, to the point earlier, trying to shine a light, look for those pockets of superfans everywhere now, rather than just the traditional ones, and then starting to, at least on the live side, adjust our strategies, touring strategies, routing accordingly. Also, on Songkick, we think about things like, can we figure out a way for fans to request a show so that we can have fans tell us that, and try to get some more data and some more trends around that. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think, K-pop is always a big example of engagement, and when we talk with our Korean colleagues, we can't believe how much fans can be involved. But many of these kind of artists has also big communities, local communities all around Europe, and you actually say when a K-pop band do a tour in Europe, you see group of girls like traveling all over to follow the tour completely. So it actually makes you feel like there is, room for creating something similar, let's say. I wouldn't say the same because it's very cultural, it's very deep down in the culture over there. But still, we take, trying to take inspiration from here and there, and something, I would say the easiest thing for us is taking inspiration, for example, from the physical format that they do. There's something super premium, super nice to actually collect and have at home, and they are crazy in there. So the single fans is buying, like, I would say hundreds, but sometimes also hundreds of the same city just to get the occasion and the chance to actually have a 30-second call with an artist. And that's something I wouldn't see in the Italian market, to be honest, being so price sensitive, also compared to other European countries. But at the same time, when we produce like very limited edition with a very, nice look and feel of the project, of the product that is really super top and, very for a limited number of people, we always see an incredible result. Also from the artists you wouldn't expect that are not, selling thousands of physical product, or they're not doing stadium or big arenas in here. So I think it's more about localizing the experience of K-pop. There is still a room, especially for the very young generation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also like a very different cultural, as you say, but like also how the system and the music ecosystem works. Like in Asia, like there is this stuff where you buy CDs, and with that you can get some point to vote for the next singer that is going to lead the band, and that's just something that doesn't exist here, or at least I have seen any example. So yeah, I mean, there's a big cultural difference. And like, do you feel that in America, like people could be going in that Asian like directions, or do you think it's more like in Europe where they need to find their own way of engaging?
In terms of, what do you mean? In terms of like the way that they engage with artists?
If we take like let's say the Asian model is the more extreme, and the European is the less. Like, how do you position US in that?
Yeah, I mean, superfans travel, like you were saying before, regardless of where they are. And in the States, it's travel around the country. It's a big country, and they travel a lot. And when you're playing a tour with 30 dates in it, a superfan could go to all 30 of those. So that we're seeing that exists for sure. And then also thinking about how can we help with that. Maybe some fans will want to meet up with each other along the way, or maybe help them with that. So yeah, it's starting to go that way in some areas for sure. Yeah.
And also, this is an example I have seen a lot with US artists, but there has been recently a lot of marketing campaigns around like Roblox or Fortnite, or more in the gaming side of the things. Would you say that it's also part of the Superfans topic, or are we talking about something totally different? Meaning, is gaming part of the Superfans, or is it something totally decorrelated?
Oh, I think it is, for sure. But it's also a way to, start the fan journey. Take, for example, also Lady Gaga did something similar, and I think it was a way to actually engage a very young target that probably, being Lady Gaga such an icon, they would probably get to know her, but not being such a fan, when you are, 6-year-old and just playing on the platform. So yes, of course, it's something that superfans love and like, but a specific type of superfans, maybe someone that is already active on platform, that it depends a lot about what you actually know about your fan base. But I think it's also a way to broaden your fan base somehow, yeah, and to start building for the future in case of very young kids.
Agreed. Yeah, similar. Coldplay did a Roblox integration for their album this year, and yeah, like I was saying before about those signals about what a fan is, spending a lot of time online is a very active, very engaged audience. They're doing it on the game now, and so if we can find the subset or all of them who also would be interested in a Coldplay or Lady Gaga, that's the sweet spot, because they're spending a lot of time online, they're engaging a lot, they're doing a lot of that kind of active behavior. So let's see how we can find the right people, the right superfans of both the middle part of the Venn diagram, and then help sell tickets and sell merch and do all that stuff. Yeah, so it's definitely related, if not like completely the same. It's definitely related for sure.
Interesting.
Yep.
Cool. I think we're getting close to the end. So maybe there is some questions from the audiences. We have touched a lot of topics, so I just want to make sure, if we have some time to.
Hello, hi. It's not much more of a question. I just want to know how you feel about a thing. And I'm a big music fan. I go to a lot of concerts, so this is more maybe about the live music experience. And how do you feel about like with the prices and the cost of like concerts and merchandise especially, but of course tickets, especially in the maybe these past 2 years, 3 years? And how do you feel like maybe that's gonna affect the relationship between the artists and the fans? Because it's like, also myself, like my money I spend it on concerts mostly, but I feel like I'm a bit torn because sometimes, yeah, I want to spend money on the concert, but if maybe it's too much, should I do that? Shouldn't I do that? So how do you feel about this? And again, if maybe it's going to affect the relationship between the artists?
For sure, yeah. We've been thinking about this, looking at data about this at Songkick, for sure. Yeah, prices are going up for sure, especially for the biggest shows. And we're seeing a lot of interesting things about kind of risk tolerance, about going out. Maybe this is a post-COVID thing, but fans of all ages want to make sure that the one night that they go out to see Lady Gaga or Coldplay or Dua Lipa is the best night, so they're happy to spend the money for it. So therefore, the prices, go up. Does that go all the way up and down the music industry? Probably not. Which I think we need to do a lot we need to think about a lot and how that can benefit all different parts of the music industry. But yeah, we're definitely looking at that and looking at the trends and seeing how they go longer term for sure.
Like the prices, because it's like getting like higher and higher and higher, so it's gonna like stop at some point. I don't know. It's like
I can't see the future. It remains to be seen. Depends on depends on fans, and depends on how they keep acting.
Yeah, it's almost. Sorry if I. It's just like I feel it's gonna also like becoming for more elite group. Like sometimes I have friends that maybe want to go to a big show, and of course they can because maybe it's too much money. I don't know. This is just how maybe like from. Audience point of view is like how we feel about it.
For sure, no, that's why I think it's important for us to pay attention to all parts of the music industry for that purpose. Developing artists, smaller artists, bigger artists, and it's an entire ecosystem that needs to work together. And that's benefits on the artist side, but then on the fan side, for sure, definitely.
And probably if I can add, is not only on the live side, but in general, like I think that like our goal is always to try to be sure that we provide more value than the cost the user perceive for the experience we give, and only the like companies that will be able to do that, I think like that will really be able to continue to like get loved by the users, because you can't simply raise prices if you don't give more value. So of course it's not on the live side, but this is like the mid-long-term goal, giving more value back.
I think there was also like I feel in the Superfan strategy a lot of things are also, I see as a record label that there is now, like always like a few thousand to organize a Superfans event, so we put that into marketing budget, so we make sure we also offer affordable experiences for the Superfans, because also like the value it has, not just, generating, money. I think it's not just about like the superfans needs to pay because they're superfans, but I also see the superfan as being, the people that are going to do the word of mouth and going to spread and to grow the community, because they are the ones that believe in the artists. And I feel that also a thing that is evolving, and that also a way of seeing it. Is there other questions?
Hello, everybody. It's 25 years I'm working in the live industry with big bands. And indeed, fans pay now a lot of money. And you got the Golden Circle, and you got the VIP, and it's destroying our industry. It's really bad. Because the Golden Circle is actually not good, because the guys from front of house know where the front of house is. That's where the show is made from. That's where it's all made from. And then the industry is destroying itself. And everybody's going to keep going to gigs, which is good for me also, because they pay me also. But what I attempt to do is, I've been working now 4 years for Rammstein. I always look for the young kids behind the Golden Circle, and I just get them and their family inside. So not for the family, but for the young kids, so they have that experience, because a family of 4 is about €1,000. That's what it costs. That's a holiday. So yeah, just want to pick in that the industry is kind of destroying themselves into that.
I think there is also like so many parties involved in all of that, and I think everyone got, they can say something about that. I also feel that the more and more artists are trying to maybe get more control about the approval, about the prices and everything. And I feel there is a lot of topics actually raising also with certain companies in the US or now in Australia about the whole dynamic pricing and everything. So it's definitely a very complex topic. I'm not really sure also like here on the panel we are the one that can really answer and address those issues. But this is definitely a topic to look after. But on a more positive note, I feel that it's more evolving and people like the artists and their entourage taking attention about these issues. But yeah, we're not sure how it's going to evolve, but it's a very complicated industry, a lot of parties involved, and I think everyone got their responsibilities for this. And in the end of the day, it's also like, as long as you raise the price and there is still demand and people pay for that, it's really going to be hard to totally change the paradigm. But still, I think it's going to evolve, and the artists can have a great role in changing that. I mean, that's my thoughts, but.
I think sadly the artist is not part of it anymore these days. Because, for example, I did a U2 tour, well, I've done 3. For one concert is €7 million just in merch. The last one I did was Rammstein. We're talking about 15 million. This is not tickets, this is just merch. So they're getting more. This is not the band asking. This is not the band, because to organize a U2 or a Rammstein concert, I can tell others, is about €4 million. What the venue gives. So the rest is all goes into the rest, management, yeah.
I think those things are going to evolve for sure. I'm optimistic, but I felt so. Thank you. Is there other questions? I'm not sure we can answer a lot about live music, but. Great. Thank you very much.